We are back, and it's time for the weekend review. I hope everyone has had a fantastic weekend as we prep for Monday. Time to look at the overall heads up view and take a top down look and see what this week could potentially bring for us. So, as usual, we always start with the weekly TPO, just kind of get an idea of where we're at in value for the week. So, as we can see up here, we have a significant amount of volume and a point of control that's located at 46.76. This is kind of our midline for the week, and we have some areas up here that really I think we'd be hard pressed to really break above this right now. We are on the lower side of this, and what I'm basically breaking this up is a double distribution for a bell curve, and we have this really low volume area in here, guys. Okay, so I do think it's a possibility to slip down in here this week, start to fill this area in. Absolutely, it's kind of what I'm anticipating. Okay, now it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but just kind of showing you what I'm seeing here. Obviously, if we bring this down and we fill this in, I like this area down in here to 64.25.50. This is the previous week's high. This is also that weekly daily area that I've been talking about for some time. We also have this other previous weekly POC with a ton of volume right around the 64.25 area. So this is a really key inflection point here. Now, could they pull back in here and get this even lower? Of course. And quite frank, we could come really low if we wanted to. But I would, have to default to trend right now and assume that we are still going to move up. Now, we all know that we can't predict what's going to happen, but we can predict, or we can tell, is when we are above or below certain levels, what we think and what the momentum shifts and where we think it will go from there. And so it's always important to understand where our significant levels are and what we're above and below. So this is a very key element for you guys. I want you to understand where 64.25 is on this weekly profile, where we are currently located at right now, which is below this previous bell curve up here, and where they could come if they really want to. Okay, so as always, I like to start with this because this gives us an idea of value and where we've spent the most time for the week. And as it appears up here, we've spent most of our time really kind of distributing in this general vicinity. So speaking of distributing, I wanted to pull this up for you guys. I actually was able to, and I'm going to throw this in the Substack for you. Over the week, I was looking at this and making a call in the room. I was like, this is really starting to look like distribution. We'll probably make one new high first before blowing off. And that is exactly what happened on Friday. We opened up at a previous all-time high, and then we ended up selling off for most of the day. So pretty confident that we are going to continue to come down at least 30, 40 more points, if not lower. And so let's just go ahead and get into that right now. And we'll also talk about where I'm wrong or where this thesis isn't validated, because we never really truly know, right? So here's the deal. Right now, we haven't lost on the daily time frame. I would have wanted to see a close below 67.50, and it didn't happen. We actually closed at 68.50, which was 1 point above. So at the end of the day, I can't call it a loss because it truly wasn't, all right? But if you guys recall what I was saying on Friday, that this wasn't a great close. I wanted to see them close above 89.50 to make this 67.50 really feel good and valid, and they didn't. Now, did that level play on Friday? Absolutely, it played. Just like the rest of the trades that we had this week, they've all played. The thing is we called this correctly and said, I don't love it, and I didn't. And it played, but it only played for about 15 points. It didn't actually propel us all the way back up, which was somewhat of a disappointment. But with that being said, right now, we still haven't lost on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, or the daily time frame. So technically speaking, we are still up on all time frames. But I'm starting to see some cracks here, and so we're just going to play it as it is, okay? So right now, I have got this 89.50 daily that I can't quite figure out if it's tested or untested, so I've marked it as quote-unquote reset, which basically means this could provide a reaction. So 64.89.50 could play again. This is kind of my upper bracket range, and this is the same level that was important to us on Friday. For those of you guys who are following along in the trade plan, I mean, this was the level, and we moved below it and we flushed. And so, it doesn't come without surprise that this is the case here. So this this daily here at 64, 67.50 is absolutely important. We actually have some 4 hours that are a little bit lower, which we'll talk about. And those of you who follow along in the trade plan know we've talked about 64, 61 multiple times. It's a biggie. I mean, it's played a couple times, and it also was the trigger for our failed breakdown and the whole 9 yards. So we really need to pay attention to that level. But from this weekly perspective, I wanted to point something out that I found. Actually, I was poking around on the ETH chart, which is the electronic trading hours. As you guys know, I like to look at regular trading hours charts, and then I do obviously look at the ETH daily, which is the shows the Globex session and all that. But I was looking at the Globex session, etc. Weekly, and I found this weekly here at 64.50, and it's pretty decent. I think that it could play. And again, I'm not like looking to take a long from there, but the way I would play this is if a 64.50 plays and we get back above this wick here from this daily, which is also the massive 4 hour. This is actually from the failed breakdown that we played on Thursday. This was the 4 hour at 64.53.75. They got back above the 64.31. And then we continued to squeeze basically up into new all-time highs on Friday. So this took us up like that. So if this weekly plays and we find value above the 64.53, this thing's going to pump back up. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. This is just a level that I found as I was poking around, and so I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. I certainly don't want to ignore it. I'll say that much, okay? So now we're going to get into the real meat of things here, which is the same level I've been talking about for a while. That is the daily level at 64.31.75. Let me go ahead and just hide these so that you guys don't have to look at all the weekly and stuff here. So this 64.31.75 got a nice reaction right here. It's got a nice smack, and I liked it. It actually took us down, I don't know, about 40 points. And it was pretty good. It was a good hit. And so I like that level because, again, what was once resistance becomes support when you're played above. The other level that I really liked was the 25, 64.25. This was our weekly high lost, and this thing took us down 90 points. That was this big guy here, okay? That was a big move, okay? So somewhere between 64.31.75 and 64.25, I'm expecting a reaction. And as you can see, the same level, 64.25.25, was also the August 3rd previous week high. So there's a lot of confluence there. So we got the high of the week, we've got a daily directly above, and then we have this weekly located there as well. So, this is an important spot, guys. And in my opinion, this is the level that we have to stay above. As you can see right here, I have it marked, must hold or bad below. Well, why is it bad below? Well, this is my daily time frame, and this is my weekly time frame. Okay, now there is support lower on the 4 hour, but from a daily weekly perspective, I don't have any untested support until I get down here to 6,300. Okay, 63.02 and 62.94, and ultimately 62.68. So from a weekly perspective, if they get underneath 64.25, it could come down 130 points to play these leg-ins. Okay, now we did gain on this weekly, so I'm going to look for somewhere in here for this to hold, and more than likely it would be 62.68. That's my preferred spot. Actually, that's not true. The 6,300 area is my preferred spot. This is the lowest portion of the leg-in, and it's also got the best risk to reward. But you got to be cautious down here because we would be below the 6,300. So, will I take this trade? Yeah, absolutely. The 50-day moving average is also located right there at 62.62. So as we start to move up, this is going to start creeping up as well. And as you can see, here it is right here. We also have a daily level at 62.68, and this is the leg end. So it's the leg end on the weekly as well. And so this is a great spot. It really is. My only concern here, guys, is this is a monster area. And so if you were to be cautious and you say, hey, listen, I don't want to buy down there, that seems crazy. Well, first off, you always buy when the world is on fire. That's the best time to buy, right? Buying the highs with everybody else never gets the job done. But regardless, if you wanted to wait until we got around 6,300, that would be your reclaim. And as you can see, that we even back tested this 63.02 on the weekly on the week of 8/3, and they just gassed it that whole week. Okay, so that would kind of be your trigger here on the weekly time frame. Can we get above 63.02? If we can, this thing is a buy and hold. Okay, now that's how it looks on the weekly. Now, looking at the daily is very, very similar. So I have 64.31.75. If we have a daily close underneath this thing's in trouble, right? Because the other dailies I have are 64.07.25, which is super important. We've talked about it all week, and we'll talk about it when we go down to the 4 hour. This is a big above below level. So if we get below 64.31, this daily at 07 is tested. Now, there is a 4 hour level down here that we'll discuss that could kind of save things, and we'll use above below 07 as our trigger. But technically, from a daily perspective, all this is tested all the way until 62.68. So, I mean, that is a big deal, guys. It's huge. And so, from a daily time frame, just like the weekly time frame, I don't have anything until we get all the way down to the lows at 62.68. And then this is a great level. This is a great spot to buy. Now, what do I have in between here on a daily? Well, we have the 63.48 and the 63.44.75. This is our previous leg to the all-time high. We need to be monitoring above or below this level for a significant shift in momentum. And then the other one is 63.20, 63.23. This is also going to be a huge above below level, guys. Okay, so very important, both of these levels. Depending on if you're above or below, you should certainly mark these on your chart just as well as the 64.07.25. Very, very important. Okay, so these are our significant dailies, and the reason, and we've talked about this again and again, but I'll show you again. The reason that these 64.20s or 63.20s are important is you had 63.23 played from the top down right here. It took us to an all-time high. 63.20 played right here and took us to an all-time high. Okay, actually I drew that a little wrong. Here's the all-time high from 63.23. Here's the pullback into 20, and 20 sent us right back up. So I have 20 actually as our lower level, and that's my real momentum shift level because it's the lower of the group here. Okay. Now, obviously, the way this works at 62.68, if this plays, I'd be looking to go daily to daily. So I would hope that the 68 gets us back into the 63.20 range. Okay. Now, is there stuff in between? Absolutely. But just looking at it from a daily time frame, that is how I would approach this matter. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into the other charts here and take a look at the 4 hour time frame. So here's the 4 hour. It's awful pretty. Okay, we have created another leg up, as I was showing you on the daily. Got this massive leg up. Got a shit ton of support in here, right, and all down in here. This is a great leg end. And to be quite frank, this is a wing play on the major time frame. Okay, so this is how I look at this. This area is super juicy somewhere in here, and we do have a lot of levels that we just talked about. And so I'm going to go ahead and just show you on the 4 hour first, and then I'm going to do the overlay. You guys know that I like to focus on the 4 hour time frame or higher, and so this is exactly what we're going to do here. So on Friday, we popped from this 61 spot again. If you guys recall, I said, man, that's such an important level. It came from this top here as the top 4 hour that was the leg all the way to the low. Such an important spot to be above or below, guys. It really is. And so momentum will shift when we get underneath this level. And we still have the 64.53 we got to watch, but 61 is the important one to me, in my opinion. Okay, so if we get underneath this level, we have this 64.25, surprise, surprise, that's our weekly, okay? And then ultimately in this leg up, we still have 64.02. Now, why is that important? Well, it looks like it almost played here, but it didn't. They played 07, which was actually coming from, I believe it was coming from right here, yes. So this is the level that was played, and we still actually have this level here, which is the leg end. And so the reason that I was pointing out that daily at 07 for you guys was exactly this, okay? So first and foremost, well, let's just talk about that. So you got this 4 hour at 64.02, and then you've got this daily at 07. So if they play this 02 and get back above 07 here, it's going to hold this leg in and we could squeeze, all right? Now, will we get in there? I don't know. And the reason that I say that is because right here is the 64.31 and the 64.25 weekly. We also had that previous weekly high. We have all that jazz right here. This is a great spot, and it's probably my favorite level on the map, okay? And because if we stay above this, we could propel back up, okay? If we get below this, we're going to come seek the leg end, okay? And that's just my personal opinion. Now, how would I play this level down here? Well, 6402, I would look for it to get back above '07, and then I would have to start taking profits around 25 and 31. And then we got back above this, I'd be looking maybe to re-add and start to take profits around 50 and 6150. 6150 we know is huge, and so we can't really deny that area. Okay, so that's first and foremost. All right, and I talked about how already that if they swoop down in here, the 6450. This is that 4-hour daily wick that I pointed out. This could trigger a failed breakdown. So if we come down in here and they actually play this 50, which is that ETH weekly, and they find value back above 53, this could be a nice long. I don't know how high it would go. I'd be looking, for it to kind of reclaim these levels as it goes, and I just have to play it as it is and play it level to level. Okay. Now, if we move lower, obviously, like I said before, this is my favorite spot on the map, okay? And just to show you these smacks, here's the smack from 31, right? And here's the smack from 25. Just monster smacks, right? So I like both of these levels for that particular reason. They both played almost to the tick on each side, okay? So this is a fatty zone for me. And 64.25 has a 4-hour right here, right? So 25 is probably my favorite. And if 25 plays, I'll probably be looking to add over 31.75. Just to keep it real with you guys, okay? Then obviously if that doesn't work, I'll be looking for '02, but at that point, I'll be kind of scared, right? I'll be scared that we can't get back above this spot. So if we come here, we're playing it up. If we come down in here, I gotta take profits into here and just kind of hope that they can continue this move higher, because it may not happen. And if it does, if we get back above 31, we know we're gold until at least probably, I'd say 53 to 61, okay? So other than that, the next leg down, or the next leg in our segment, I should say, is this spot right here at 63.55.75. This is a great 4-hour. I like this 4-hour a lot. I will more than likely be taking this trade, and I'll be looking for this to get me back to at least 84. If we get back above 84, then I'll be looking for '02, etc., etc., etc. Okay, that's how it works. We play level to level. We don't guess. All right. So look at this 20-day moving average and the monthly VWAP kind of starting to work their way up to '02. I like that too. So, Confluence is all I'm looking at, Confluence. All right. So the next spot we're going to look is right down here. And this is a juicy spot in my opinion. And I didn't mark this, but I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and you guys will be able to see it. All right. So we have 63.20. We've talked about this in the weekly review, in the weekly trade plans. This is not a big surprise. If they come down here and they play 63.20, get back above 63.25, we can absolutely squeeze at least back to 55, okay? And then we get back above 55, we'll be looking for 84, blah, 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 right? But this is a good spot with a nice risk to reward. Looks like you got to stop above about 8 points, okay? Pretty good. I like that, all right? So for that risk to reward, that's pretty nice. Now, I'm going to go ahead and overlay these, and I'm going to show you why this level is really good. So we have those significant dailies here that I was talking to you guys about, 63.20, 63.22. It's also the 8.3 previous weekly value area low, right? So we have a lot of confluence here, guys, lots, all right? So they come down here, they play this untested 4-hour at 63.20. They get back above 23, which is our dailies here. And then they get back above 25. Dude, this thing could squeeze nice. And I would be taking profits around 44 and 55, 45, and then 55, and just playing it, as we go. Because as we start to gain stuff, I'll feel a little bit better. But we're way down here, so you just gotta hold your runners and take your targets where you can. Play it level to level. Okay, we can always get back in once we run out of ammo. All right. So then the next spots to really look at, and we talked about these. I have these 4 hours from the left over here. These were both good. They both played. They both produced massive results. That is 63.0275 and 62.99. They line up beautiful with this, and they're untested. Okay, and they also line up with our weeklies down here. Okay, so we got the weekly at '02. We got that weekly at 62.94. So 63.02 and 62.94.25. This is a fat weekly zone. We also have some singles in the TPO down to 03.75. So if they push down in here, We'll clean the singles. We could play this 4 hour at 0275 and the weekly at 02 and really kind of, go. And if they hold this, we're going to be looking to get back above 20 and back above 44, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And, this is a great spot. We're starting to get into this major leg end down here. And I would be looking, as the lower we get and the more that these hold, the more I'm going to be looking for these things to give me bigger and more plentiful results. So last but not least is this weekly daily that I was telling you guys about, 62, 68, big leg in down here on the daily and the weekly. We have a 3-day composite POC that's naked. If they come down in here and they play this, we got the 50-day moving average right here. Okay, see that white line? It's kind of working its way up. This thing could be awesome. And we'll know it's awesome when it gets back above 6,300. That's the one that back tested on the RTH weekly that I was showing you. So that would be our trigger. If you took this long, I'll probably take it. I'm taking a lot of profits around 6,300, but if we get back above this thing could just absolutely rip. And we'd be looking for it to get back above the 20s and the 40s, and then, obviously just kind of push higher. At that point, once we got back above 40, this is our big final wing here and our big support. This is a major spot. And so once we got back above this thing could really just go. And, back above the 20s is our moves that I showed you that took us to the high previously. You could see right here, we played here, took it to a high, come down, swept, triggered another failed breakdown we called in the review, took us all the way up. Just ridiculous. Okay, so really above 20 is our major, and then above 44, 48, you're gold. Okay, so that's how we're going to play this, guys. I've laid this out for you, super juicy. One level actually that I'm looking at and that I didn't talk about, and this kind of caught my attention because my indicator showed us this right now. I have a 4 hour right here, 63.84. And I have it as significant and tested, even though it's not. You can clearly see it missed the level right here. If they pull back down in here and play this and get back above this low, this could squeeze quite nicely. So if we play 84.50, get back above 87.50, this could squeeze quite nicely. Now, is that my favorite trade? No, it's not. But it's there, and I'm going to throw it out for you. So watch the 63.84.50. We have the weekly VWAP or monthly VWAP there. It's super important. Hedge funds look at the CTAs. They play VWAPs all the time. So it's always important to understand where the value is on the monthly. As you can see, once you're above it, they kind of try to hold it. Once they're below it, they continue to push below. So this is an important level for us to keep monitor and keep a watch on. So that's going to do it for me. You know what? Last but not least, I'll pull this over to kind of show you what the weekly or what the daily TPO looks like. And it's really not a whole lot to look at. We have essentially a lot of the inefficiencies have been cleaned up all the way down until we get down into these naked POCs. And so here's the singles that was all the way down by that weekly. Oh, I know one thing, and here's that 3-day composite POC down here at 65. And I do know one thing I forgot to show you, which is the 1 hour. And the only reason I want to show you that is because there's one level that I've been talking about all week in the daily trade plan that I might as well point out right now. We have a 1 hour level here at 64.40, 25 that played really nice from the bottom up. It actually played for about a 30-point smack. Okay, and as you can see, it's right in line with the 727 previous weekly value area high. Our current previous weekly value area low is at 44, and so I do think this 64.40 can get a reaction. How far does it go? I don't know. I'm probably not going to take this trade personally, but it is there if you're looking to scalp a little bit. It definitely got that reaction here. My key areas that I'm looking for are a little bit lower, between the 31 and the 25. But this area did get played, and we do have, the TPO on the high time frame also gives us a little possibility there. Okay. The other spot that I have is 64.14. This is that 1 hour leg up here, and this is a good 1 hour level. It is absolutely untested, and to be quite honest, they could push from 31 all the way into 14 and hold this and go. If that can happen, I don't know if it will. But I'm just looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's certainly the 1 hour leg up. And just to show you, this is that 02 4 hour, 64.02 4 hour. We also have a 1 hour at 6400.75. If they come down in here, guys, and they play this and hold this, which they should, and they get back above '07, this is going to squeeze hard as hell, right? And so you'd have to start taking profits as we go up. But if they hold this, we could potentially look to take, get all the way back up to 25, 31, or even this candle here around 40. So this is the 4-hour leg to the high here still. Just to show you how you can see the reference here. This is '02. So I showed you what the daily looked like on here. I just wanted to kind of point out that there is a 1 hour there as well. Just gives us the extra little nudge for Confluence. So that's what I got for you guys this week. I hope you guys turn this into some cash. And for those of you in the room, I will see you there. And for those of you who are Substack subscribers, I can't wait to put out these plans this week. And if you're watching this and you're still on the fence, check out the free trial. It's there for a reason. If you like it, great. If you don't, cool too. We just continue to put out the hits every week and every day. So talk to you soon and have a good one.